Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Leah. Tonight's question is this: how do I communicate with people and reset expectations when my role within an organisation and the responsibilities that go with it have changed? The person that emailed me this great question was in a leadership role, but they decided they need to take a break and they've sidestepped into another position in the organisation. And first off, hats off to this leader for recognizing that for their own well-being, that was the decision they needed to make. Because I know, working with so many leaders across so many organizations, how many people are really burnt out and struggling right now. And it may not be a sidestep that you need, but maybe it is a break, maybe it is some leave, or thinking about how you can really look after yourself through this challenging time. The issue this person is now facing, though, is they're working on mutual tasks with some of the people they used to lead, some of their colleagues who used to come to them as a leader, even if they didn't directly lead them. So it's a new way of interacting, except the other people are still treating this person as if they're a leader. So they're expecting this person to make decisions that really should be more group decisions now. They are putting more work onto this person because of their previous role. So what can they do? There is an absolute hint here in the email question itself. You're right, you do need to reset expectations with your team. And I encourage you to do this in either a meeting with your team, or if it's a specific project that you're working on where this is a challenge, do it in there. And perhaps it's doing it in both. Now, this is something I talk about in my Stop, Collaborate and Listen workshop. The absolute importance of creating shared expectations and clarity around how a group is going to operate together. And given that this is quite a significant change, it's a conversation that absolutely needs to be had. So I would acknowledge that this is a change that brings with it some challenges. You know, you're used to being in a leadership role. They are used to coming to you to make decisions. And this change is going to be a bit tricky to navigate for a while. I'd absolutely put it out there and create space for a discussion about how do we make this work. You know, you might use lines like, so to help me navigate this change, what I need from you or what I ask of you is this. If it's on the project itself, have the conversation around how do we make decisions? What are the expectations around the thinking we do before we propose something? Is it that we have individually thought things through, that we're going to discuss and decide things as a group? This is a conversation to have. You know, what I need from you is, and this is about you creating some boundaries, not in like a hard and fast, this is my boundary, don't ask me for advice way, because I know that's not your personality. You are kind and you want to help people. But it is about acknowledging that, you know, I am going to struggle with this a bit because I'm used to making these decisions. So what I ask of you is to do some thinking first. And if you want to discuss something with me, absolutely. But you know, I am going to be trying to push some of this back because I need to practice not being the person who makes the decision going forward. The third step, so first one, absolutely reset expectations and discuss those. Make it clear what you need from other people and open the door on what they need from you. And maybe it's not from you anymore. Maybe it's from someone else. You might troubleshoot here as well. So get specific and say, so if this sort of situation happens, you know, I'm happy to give advice, but ultimately that's a decision that you would need to make, or maybe take it to the person who is now in the leadership role. So maybe troubleshoot some of those likely challenges that you will have. And the last point is to shift from the role of rescuer to coach. Now, I know this person has done training with me before, so they know that what I'm referring to is shifting out of the dreaded drama triangle to the empowerment dynamic. So from the role of rescuer, where we try to save the day, where we do fear not being needed and we can be a bit of a martyr, and we jump in and fix things and solve the problems so that other people don't need to. Where we want you to shift to as a leader, but especially now that you're not in a leadership role, although this is crucial for leaders too, folks, is to shift to coach mode. And what that means is you don't solve the problems for other people. You get really good at asking great questions, like any great coach does, to help them come to the answer themselves. Now, if that's new behavior for you, it might be tricky for people at first because can't you just answer me? Can't you just solve the problem? But I want you to practice this, saying things like, well, what are your thoughts about the best approach to this? What would you like to try here? And get good at asking those questions to create space and really empower people to come up with the answers themselves. So to recap, 3 key points: reset expectations, have that conversation. Don't wait for something to happen to address it. I'd actually, if you have team meetings, get it in as an agenda item, or have a conversation about shared expectations at the start of your next project meeting. So do that, ask for what you want and need, and shift from rescuer to coach. That will take time, but with practice, you will absolutely get there. So I hope that helps. If you have a communication or soft skill question you would like answered, send it through and I will do my absolute best to answer it next week. Cheers.